What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel for yet another Battlefront 2 video. Today is our Boba Fett star card guide, and I'm just not even going to waste any time. Let's get right on into it. So the first ability we have, or I guess star card I should say, because the ability is jetpack, but the star card is quick refuel, and it just allows you to refill your jetpack fuel a lot faster when it's not being used. Now, I used to use this card pretty religiously, and I almost would never even take it off. Pretty much all the jetpack cards I would use religiously because I just didn't think any of Boba's abilities were worth upgrading with star cards. But a lot's changed since then, and I think that it may be worth swapping out with another one. Now, this one specifically I do still like to keep on because this one refills fast, but there's another one where your star cards refill faster while in air, but your health regeneration starts slower while in air. I think that is a great one to use, and normally I'm not one for slower health regeneration, but in this instance, since your star cards are pretty essential, specifically, I guess jetpack and your rocket barrage, those are going to be your two lifelines. Rocket barrage obviously for destroying large amounts of enemies at one time, and then jetpack for evading situations that are dangerous to you. The next star card I want to look at was also a jetpack star card, which was fuel efficiency, which just allows you to fly longer with the amount of fuel that you have, so it burns slower. That one's actually the one that I take off more often for the slower health regeneration and faster ability cooldown while in air. And that's just because if you're on the ground, let your jetpack recharge, get back up in the air, and then stay in there while you're recharging your abilities. That way you can get back up frequently and then drop back down. So it's very much so go back up, come down for a few seconds, go back up again. You want to try and maintain a bit of a balance. Right, now for the last really major star card is Focalize. That one just allows you to have more damage in the blast radius for your rocket barrage. And I said it before, rocket barrage is actually one of the more, I guess, critical star card, or I guess abilities is a better way to put it, for Boba Fett. You've got his jetpack, you've got rocket barrage. For the hunt's pretty useful because a lot of people don't realize that when you've got for the hunt active, not only can you see people through walls because of his radar scanning thing that he's got with his helmet, but your jetpack fuel is actually unlimited. You can stay in the air for as long as for the hunt is active, which is another reason why the for the hunt star card, the one that extends how long you can have it active, that's also a great star card for you to have, just for the fact that for the hunt allows you to stay in the air the entire duration of that ability. But back to Focalize, what you want to do is, if you've got this star card active, which I highly recommend because it's one of his better ones, you want to make sure that you save your rocket barrage. You're not wasting it on just one guy. Wait till there's 2, maybe even 3 people in one area. It's great for game modes such as this one. I think this is actually co-op. Yeah, it's co-op, but you want to wait until there's a ton of enemies all together, and then you want to use it in such a tight area, like a very choke point looking space. You don't want it to be big and out in the open. Like the area that I'm currently in, if I saw a couple of enemies in that area, I probably wouldn't use it. I'd wait till they're in a corner, kind of like the guy I was shooting right there. I'd wait for a couple of them to pile up right there, and then that's when I would get close and I'd use my rocket barrage. I did just say, like, get close. That's something I'd recommend just doing regardless if you have the star card active, because your rocket barrage is a wild array of missiles that get shot, and they're not very accurate. They just kind of get sprayed all over, so you want to be close. That way it targets a lot closer, because you can't actually hurt yourself with that rocket barrage. It's a little weird and a little unrealistic, but I'm all here for it because it makes Boba a little bit better of a villain. Alright, and this is the last star card that I'm actually going to, I guess, focus on and bring to light, is Extended Exposure. This is the one I was talking about that helps the for the hunt last just a little bit longer, and I do actually recommend using that one in certain situations. Probably game modes like Supremacy, Galactic Assault, the big wide open trooper-based game modes. Now for heroes versus villains, I probably wouldn't put it on, just because there's not a whole lot of good it can do for the kind of, I guess, player you're trying to be in heroes versus villains. As Boba Fett, there's only so much you can do in that game mode, so you're going to want to be avoiding fights rather than going into them, and for the hunt is a lot better if you're trying to like hover over the fight the entire time. But like I said, in heroes versus villains, there's just so many abilities that they can get you with on the hero side that it's just not worth hovering over that fight the whole time. Alright, now I'm kind of done with the star cards that I want to talk about. Those are the big main ones you want to focus on. If you, I mean, I guess if you're good with Concussion Rocket, it is a relatively decent ability now. It used to be very just not worth it. I mean, it was kind of like Leia's Flash Grenade. It blinded people barely. Sometimes it didn't even do that. And then if you did get blinded, 90% of the time, you could still shoot or attack your opponent easily and see where they're at, or at least enough to kill them. So it just wasn't a good card. Now it does screw up enemies' blaster. So if they get hit with it, it overheats immediately, and they have to, I guess, reset their weapon. So in that regard, it is useful, but I still don't think it's good enough for the star cards to get used on it. So the ones I discussed were the best in my opinion, but if you find something that works for you, then great. But this is the tips portion of the video, so things that you should just try and do and look out for when you're a Boba Fett. Now, I play very aggressively, and it can bite you in the butt. It's working right now, but that is because I am on co-op, and it is all AI enemies, which is a whole lot easier than actual enemies, especially if you're facing people who know what they're doing. If you don't face people who know what they're doing frequently, then I guess play it however you want. But you'll stay alive longer if you try and avoid combat directly like I'm doing here. Like I said, I was just doing it because it was co-op. So if you can, keep the high ground at all times. I know that's very Obi-Wan cliche, but it works big time with Boba because he is a blaster trooper and he doesn't have a ton of health to start with. I think it's, what, 600 health, and that's it. That's all he's got. The good news is, one of the changes they made to the game is every single hero or villain can now regain health by killing enemies. Before, there were only specific heroes and villains that could do it, and they could only do it if they had a specific star card equipped, which it just restricted everything that you could do big time. So now that that's gone and done away with, any hero or villain can regain health, and with Boba, it's very easy to get out of a fight. Just avoid whatever conflict you can, swoop in, get a quick kill, maybe 2, 3, something like that, depending on your skill level. Swoop in, get a kill here and there, slowly regain that health, and then you can start going back into direct combat and taking loads of fire and stuff like that. But there's strategies to do it. So you for starters, you want to use that jetpack ability like it's your lifeline. Don't go into a direct fight on your last leg of jetpack ability unless you have For the Hunt just completely charged up and ready to go, because like I said before, that is an ability that allows your jetpack to be unlimited. So if you have that ability ready to go, then you could maybe swoop into a fight with direct combat and then use For the Hunt to get out of there if you were in trouble. If not, you want to make sure you've got at least some jetpack fuel to get you out of there, because you can end up in situations where it's just best to run instead of continue fighting. Another thing is, you want to use your Concussion Rocket whenever possible to shut down troopers with blasters. This works on heroes and just regular troopers for Assault Heavy Officer and Specialist. Like I said before, it overheats their gun if they get hit with it, and it temporarily marks them through walls with Boba's HUD visor. For the Hunt also marks people through walls, but that's not as big of a deal as it is for the jetpack ability that it gives you. Now, when you're attacking objectives and providing support for your team, you want to do just that, provide support. You don't necessarily want to be the one that's in there capturing the objective. Save that for a Vader or for Grievous or Darth Maul, just someone who's got more health or more ability to get in and out of that deadly situation. Vader has 950 health, I think, with his extra health star card, and even without it, he's got 800. He's just an absolute tank. He has an ability that allows him to gain damage at a reduced rate, so he takes less damage, even though, let's say, Darth Maul would take more damage without that star card. You know what I'm saying? Like, he'll take less of that oncoming fire, whereas Boba, he absorbs the full amount of it. But since he has such little health, he's more of an agile, move in, move out, maybe provide cover from just a little bit back, kind of like Leia would. The last thing I'll kind of leave y'all with, because I know not everybody who watches these videos has been playing this game for a year, 2 years, whatever. However long y'all have been playing. I know some of y'all probably have just started just because of the traffic I've seen on the game recently. If you are someone who's just started and you haven't quite got your blaster aiming down yet, because it does I mean, it's a different combat feel. It's not like Call of Duty, and it's not even like Battlefield, which is what it most resembles in my opinion. It's just like a Star Wars themed Battlefield game. But if you haven't quite got the blasting down yet and you're not all that accurate, I'd stay away from Boba until you get your blaster down. I mean, you'll see, I've been playing this game for probably 3 years now since it came out, and I struggle even now with Boba's blaster just trying to get accurate shots. Now I am lagging in this video too, but it's just not easy to fly around and shoot. And if you can't shoot well, then Boba just might not be the character for you until you get that shooting down. So you might want to practice with some other characters first, ones that maybe don't have that aerial aspect to them. But that is pretty much my last tip, and we did go over all the star cards that I wanted to at least highlight to you guys, maybe recommend you using. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, maybe something that I left out that you want me to cover specifically, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll be sure to get back to you on that one. Anyways, I'll see you on the next video. Peace.